Um, can you hear me? Hello. Can anyone respond to me? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Uh, Can you hear me? Thanks for joining. We will start our session with maybe within 5, 7 minutes. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Good morning.
I thank everyone for joining this session. We will start within 3 4 minutes. Let's wait for a few more participants. I request everyone to please carry your notebook and pen as we are discussing a lot of new concepts in this session. So it will always be better to have notes with this. So please, if you are not carrying your notebook and pen, please move and get it. I request you, please carry your notebook. Okay, let's start our discussion. So there are a few guidelines for these Zoom sessions. I first of all welcome everyone for this four session workshop on software testing tools. As you know that we are going to discuss tools like JUnit, Selenium, and Kokomo in this workshop. And all these sessions are based on Zoom. We will be having these sessions on every Sunday from 11:30 to maybe 1 p.m. So since these sessions are Zoom, so I request everyone to please stay engaged and ask the questions, build the community, and take the notes whatever we discussed during this particular discussions. So I hope most of you know me, but if not, let me introduce myself in the beginning. Myself, Pratik. I am professor in the Department of Computer Science. Currently, I am a visiting professor at Whitman College, Walla Walla, and I also served at Lambda Lab, Tel Aviv University, Israel, and DAV College, Amritsar. So let's move to our discussion. So in the beginning, I will discuss quickly brief about software testing, some intro on this topic, and then I will jump into JUnit. As I mentioned earlier, that this workshop is based on completely hands-on session. So we will be discussing JUnit tool in this session, which is a very important tool for testing Java code. But before jump into this, we require few important points to discuss. So let's discuss briefly intro about software testing so that we can move forward. Just give me a minute. So software testing is a widely used technology which is used to test our software. As the name indicate, of course, this is a technology which is used to test our software, what we are building. And when we test our software, there are few attributes of a software which need to be tested. So we need to test accuracy of software. We need to test about reliability, scalability, portability, reusability, and usability of our code. So we need to thoroughly test our softwares. And in order to perform all these tests, we have to use various testing techniques. So testing technique is a group of techniques which are used to determine the correctness of the applications under the predefined script. So it means that there is a group of techniques which are used to validate or check that our application is correct under some predefined conditions. So here there are some conditions, and based on those conditions, we test our code. And the main intent of testing is to detect those failures. So normally there are two different teams. One is the team of developer, and another is the team of testers. Once developer develop the code is given to the tester, and tester thoroughly test that code. And then, based on their finding, they send that code or bug list to the developers back, and then developer act on those bugs. So the objective of testing team is to detect all the failures from the applications. So we are here to detect the bugs from our software, and our purpose is to ensure that software will work accurately in all of those conditions. So testing include examination of code. It also include execution of the code under various environments so that we can make it sure that code is working properly. So there are various kind of testing which are used in software industry. So it's very important to understand these terminology in the beginning. So we can perform software testing, of course, by manually and through some automated tools. Manual mean that there is no tool involved. Everything is performed manually by software developers. But nowadays, there are a lot of automation tool, and through those automations tools, we test our software. So this workshop is based on automation tools, and by using those automations tools, we will be testing our code. Now, there are three kind of software testing. One is white box testing, second is black box testing, and third is gray box testing. So it's very important to understand in the beginning what is
Sir, you are not audible.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So I was discussing about software testing techniques. So there are three techniques. One is white box testing, second is black box testing, and third is gray box testing. So what this mean? Can anybody tell me at this point what is the difference between black box and white box? Anyone? What do you think? What is the difference between black box and white box testing?
Sir, in white books, there will be some transparency, like how the
Okay.
things are going on. But in black books, we only get output for our input.
Okay. So, thank you. Thanks for answering that question. So, I just want to add a little bit more on that. So, white box and black box testing is mean that whether our code is available to us or not. So, if you have excess of code, then it is called as white box testing because it is a transparent and you can see the code. But if you can't see the code, then it is called as black box testing. So in case of white box testing, you have a excess of code, and then based on that code, you test your program. So in white box testing, as I mentioned, the code is visible for the developer, and during the testing, so code is visible to the developer during the testing, and that's why it is known as white box testing. So as it is mentioned already that this white box testing is normally performed by the developer क्योंकि the code is available to the developer. So developer can see the code. So normally once you submit the code to a teacher, let's suppose teacher has given you an assignment. So before submitting the code, you will test your code thoroughly that is it working in all those situations. So when developer tests his or her own program, then that kind of testing is called as white box testing. So in software industry, as I mentioned, there are two different teams. One is a developer team and second is a tester team. So before sending the code to testing team, you normally test your code thoroughly on your own as a developer. So when as a developer you thoroughly test your code, that kind of testing is called as white box testing, and white box testing is performed by developers. So as a developer, you perform white box testing. So once here in this, developer will test every line of code, make it sure that the code is working properly. So you have excess of code, and before submitting that code, you want to test that you have checked your code thoroughly and you tested your code thoroughly, like you have tested each and every if condition, you have tested each and every branch, you have tested each and every line of code. So you try to make it sure by giving multiple inputs so that the whole code should be tested thoroughly, and all the bugs, if there are any, you try to resolve that before sending it to the testing team. So this is the purpose of white box testing, and normally this white box testing is used by the developers. So then we have another testing called as black box testing, in which code is not visible while performing the testing. So if code is not visible, then the question is how we can test it. So we can test it only on the basis of input and output. So let's suppose I have a program which can perform addition of two numbers. So I know that if I perform 2 and 3 as an input, the output should be 5. So irrespective I have a code or not, I can check that if this is a function to add two numbers, if my input is 2 and 3, output should be 5. So You provide the input and you check the output. If the output is same as desirable or expected, then you say that the test is passed or code is working fine. Otherwise, you can identify the bugs. So you try it on positive number, negative number, each and every possible situation. And if your code is working perfectly on those possible situation, then it is considered as black box testing. So you don't have any excess of code, or you have no idea about code, what is written inside. You only concerned about input and output, and if it is uh, giving you desirable output based on the given input, then it is called as black box testing. So normally this black box testing is performed by developer or tester. What do you think? Can anybody answer me that? So black
Sir,
box testing.
by tester.
Yeah. Yeah. So normally this black box testing is performed by tester, while white box testing is performed by developer. Sometimes you perform both the roles. Sometimes you have excess of code and also you perform black box testing. Then it is called as a gray box testing. So gray box testing is a combination of white and black box testing. It means that it is performed by person who know both code and test. So when a single person perform both white box testing as black box testing, then it is known as gray box testing. So sometimes you perform the role of both tester as well as developer. You perform both white box and black box testing, then it is considered as gray box testing. So I hope that these terms are now clear to you. So there are three type of techniques for testing: white box, black box, and gray box. When we have excess of code, it is white box. There is no excess of code, only input output validation, black box. When you have both, it is gray box. So here, after understanding these terms, now when you test, there are two main things to test. One is the functional properties of the software, and second is non-functional properties of the software. So this is my last slide. After this, I will shift to the code. So can you tell me, before moving ahead, what is functional and non-functional properties of a software? Can anybody tell me what is functional and non-functional properties? Yeah, anyone? Functional and non-functional properties of a software. This is a very important point, and I hope some of you may know that. Yeah, please don't hesitate. Just unmute and try to answer this question. This is important. Functional and non-functional.
Sir, in unit testing, small components of a software, like on which we perform our testing, and when we integrate that small components, because in software we do not release our whole software at once. First of all, we perform in chunks that all these things, and then after integration of these small components, it will become a
Yeah,
bigger
yeah.
thing.
Thank you. So I want to add a little bit more on that. So let's first understand what is functional and non-functional. Let's suppose you wish to, you are building a library management system. So what are the function that library management system should have? Can anybody tell me? So if you are building a library management system, what are the function that software should perform? What do you think? Anyone? What are the function this library management software should perform? The library management software should able to issue the book. The library management system should return the book. You should be able to register the user. You should able to calculate the fine. You should able to have list of books and all those things. So all these things which I'm talking about, you should able to issue the book, return the book, search the book, and all those things are considered as functional properties, the basic requirements, functional properties. While what are non-functional in there, that case? So non-functional are quality attributes. So they are not related with the functionality of library management system, but they are more related with the quality. Quality mean that, of course, library management system is performing all these software, all these tasks, like it can perform issue, return, and all those things. But there are some quality attributes which make one software better as compared to other. It means that whether this software has a better user interface, good user interface, how the usability of the system is, whether my library management system can handle 1,000 transaction at the same time, or is it only handle 100 transaction? What is the performance of my software? what is the security of the data which I am having. So the quality attributes like security, performance, usability, all these come under non-functional requirements. So I hope this is very important for every software engineer to understand in the beginning what is functional and non-functional. So functional mean that the quality, the requirements for which you are building the software, the basic functionality. Like in case of railway reservation, the functionality will be to reserve the ticket, to book the ticket, to search the train, to register the user, and so on, to make transaction. All these things are functional requirement. But non-functional will be the security of my railway reservation system, the usability of my railway reservation system, how much scalable my system is. All these are non-functional requirements. So when we talk about software testing, we usually test both functional and non-functional requirements. So here I'm going to discuss these things a little bit in more detail. So functional property means refers to functional requirements. So this define what system should do, and what type of logic it has. So I explain that. So if it is a railway reservation system, it should able to do reservations, booking, and so on, user authentication, transactions, and all these are functional properties. While non-functional properties define quality attributes, so like performance, reliability, usability, security, whether my code is maintainable or not. So all these things are refers as a non-functional requirement. So I hope this give you a clear idea that what is I hope this give you clear idea what is functional and non-functional properties. If you have any doubt at this point, you can ask me any question. So after understanding this point, we now move forward for JUnit testing. So as we discussed earlier, this JUnit testing is used to test one unit of our code. So we are not testing the full software. We are just testing one unit uh, of our code. And when you test a particular unit, or when you test a particular class, or when you test a particular function, then it is called as a unit testing. So unit testing is a code which ensures that program logic work as expected, and we test it unit by unit. And JUnit, here in this session, we are going to discuss JUnit. This is an automated testing technique, which is a framework for writing and running automated test cases in Java. And it is just like you have a toy, and you test each and every component of the toy to make it sure that it is working properly. So that is considered as unit testing. So let's suppose in your uh, full program, there are 5 important functions. So you test each and every function one by one. So that is considered as a unit testing. And then finally, you integrate all those functions together, and then it is called as integration testing. But in this session, we are going to discuss unit testing, where I will be uh, uh, validating each and every function or each and every class in my code. And that case is called as JUnit testing or unit testing. And JUnit is the tool which is used to test Java classes. And we will be discussing in this that how we can test Java code to identify all the bugs and issues in a particular class or in a particular function. So since this has excess of code, we have a code with us. So this is considered as a white box testing, but of course we can also use this as a black box testing. So JUnit is a white box testing technique because I have a Java code, and based on that Java code, I will be testing my code. Since JUnit is a white box testing, now the question is, what are black box testing technique? So in next coming session, we will be discussing Selenium tool, which is used to test our websites. For example, you have a Amazon.com and you want to test that your login page is working properly or not. So in order to test all those websites, we have an automated tool called as Selenium. So in one of the session, we will discuss Selenium tool that will automatically test all the website. For example, you know that if you select student, there is a drop down menu, and you want that if you select hostel, then it should display all the hostel names. If you select day scholar, then it will show you different information. So all these type of testing require some kind of automation. We can do all these kind of automation by using Selenium tool. Cucumber is another test driven technique, which is again a black box testing technique, which is used to ensure that our requirements are successfully implemented or not. So, in coming session, we will be discussing black box testing technique like Selenium and Cucumber. And in this session, we will be covering JUnit in detail. So, if you have any question at this point, you can ask me. Okay, so in JUnit testing, we use some framework which automatically check my classes. So there are some annotations which we used in JUnit. So these are some annotation which are important. There are some annotations which are important. So one such annotation is at the rate test. So whenever you test something, you have to use at the rate test. Even we can specify some performance measure that my class should able to run within 100 milliseconds of time. So if you want to check the performance that this code should run within 1 millisecond or 1 second, we can check that also by using JUnit. So as I mentioned, sometime we wish to test the performance of our function, that this function should complete within 1 second. So we can do also that task by using some annotations like at the rate test, and we can specify that it should be completed within 1000 milliseconds. There are some code which we wish to run after every class calling, so we can use that. So there are some annotations like before class, at the rate before, at the rate after. So I will be discussing that in my demonstration, but here I just want to give you an idea that we will be using some kind of annotations to test our code, and one important annotation is at the rate test, which JUnit uses. So then we also use some assert class because it's all about testing the code, whether my code is giving expected output or not. So in order to check that, we have a assert statement, which is derived from assert class. So there is a assert method which can check the expected output with the actual output. So I told you that testing is about all checking the expected output with the actual output. So there is a function called as assert equal, which will check that my expected output is equal to actual output or not. If it is equal, it's a very good. If it is not equal, it will generate a test case failure. So test case failure will be generated if expected is not equal to actual. And for this, we use assert equal function. Sometime you want to check that whether the output is true or false. If output is true, it say test pass. If output is false, it will say test fail. So this kind of action is ensured by assert true. Similarly, sometime you want that the output should be false. If output is false, test will be passed, otherwise it will be failed. So we can do these kind of checking of passing or failing of the test by using assert statement. So we will be using these kind of statement in our code. So assert statement is used to verify the condition for the test to pass. If condition is true, then mean that test is passed, otherwise test is considered as fail. So here is the example. Let's focus on this. I request everyone to please read this code for a couple of minutes before I say something to you. So here you see that I have hmm, a simple test class, and I'm using at the rate test annotation to test my code. So this is the code which I have, which simply perform addition of two numbers, and I am storing the result in my result. So here I'm using function assert equal. So it will check that expected with actual. 4 is expected, actual number is stored in result. So if actual number and expected is same, the test will pass. But if my result carry, let's suppose 5, it will be error. So this is a assert statement equals, which I used, and this is very simple example to build a simple test case. So in order to build all these kind of testing environment, I will be using Eclipse. So Eclipse is a integrated development environment, which is a popular development environment for Java. So I will be using that platform, and it is used for C, C++, Python, and PHP. But in this case, we will be working on Java code. So I request everyone to have that software on your laptop so that we can perform all the lab experiments as we will be discussing in this workshop. Then we have to use a Maven. Maven is a automation tool, which is a powerful tool to manage and build the process for Java-based project. So it automatically build the whole project in Java. So when you build the project, there are some dependencies. So it automatically take care about the dependencies. If it requires some kind of installations for other library or packages, it automatically download that environment for you. So the project management become very simple if we use Maven. So I will be using Maven in Eclipse to manage and automated all our software development process. So Maven is a automation tool which will put all the code in appropriate folders. It automatically install all desirable dependency. It automatically build everything. It automatically package everything. So Maven is a very powerful tool which used to build the whole Java-based project. So Maven is already inbuilt in Eclipse. So that's why I'm using Eclipse. So you need to install Eclipse, and then we need to work on on Maven in the Eclipse. So this is the Eclipse which look like this. So the first step will be to install Eclipse. Once you have Eclipse on your machine, so you need to select File, New, Maven project. So this is the first step to build um, on testing. So when you click on New Maven project, it will there are few checkbox. You just need to select all those checkboxes, and it just select our workspace, and you need to press the next button. So now there are two important thing in this. One is group ID and second is artifact ID, which actually refers to the name of your project and the folder where it is stored. So here I have given the same name, which is project name and folder name. So all my code will be stored in a project called as JUnit test, and you just need to create finish. So once you click finish, you will see that a Maven project with name JUnit test has been created. And the best thing of Maven is that it has already created appropriate folders for you, which indicates that your all the source code should be available here in this source main Java, and all testing code should be available in you should put all your testing code in source test Java. If it requires some kind of testing resources or main resources, these should be put in these folders. So you can see that this has already created a file structure for you, a folder structure for you, and this is the reason that we are using Maven, because it make all the management of my whole application very simple and easy. So this is the structure which we will be having by default, but we have to test something. So in order to test something, we require a code file, and all the code, as I mentioned, will be stored in this source main Java. So you will select that folder, and under this folder, we will be creating a new package. So just select that folder and create a new package. And the package name is string code, and then press finish. So once you create the package, you see that the package is created under this uh, JUnit main Java. And under this package, I'm creating a class. And this class is my main code, which I wish to check. And that code class name is string helper. And this code is available in a package called as string code. So you just need to give the name and then it will work in that requirement way. So I am just going to show you how it look like. So let's do this all the steps from scratch. So this is new Maven project. So select checkbox, move next. So this is the group ID. So we are creating JUnit test. We can give the same name as artifact. You just need to click finish. You see JUnit test has been created. So in this JUnit test, we have all those folders which are already there. Next is to have our code for class. So this will be written in source main Java. So you need to create new package under this so that you can have multiple class files. So here you can write string test. So I'm writing string code. So this is the package name. So you see a package has been created, that is string code. And in this you can create a new class. And this is my class name, that is string helper. So finish. So this will create a string helper class, and this is the code which we need to test. And I have to write my full code here in this particular Java file. So I have already created this file for you. So I have already performed the same steps. And this is the code which we will be testing in this particular session. So let's understand this code first before testing it. So this code is having class string helper. As I mentioned, this is the name of the class which we just created. And in this class, I have created a function called as truncate a in first two position. So the code is very simple. This function will truncate a in first two positions. So if a is present in first two position, it will truncate that. So you are passing a string and it will truncate that particular first to a. What did mean that if you pass a b to this, so it will return b because there are two a in the first position. So it will truncate that a in the first position and it will return only b. So this is the code. This is the task which is this code is doing. So string truncate a in first two positions. So this is the code which is checking the length and truncating it. So there is no need to go in detail about the code because our major concern is to understand how we need to perform the testing. But yeah, this is simple string replace function which is doing that kind of replacement. So the idea is that if you pass a b, it will give b, and if you pass a b c, it should give you b c because if a is present in first two position, it will truncate it. So we can pass these kind of various inputs to test it. And let's suppose if you pass a b to this, my expected is b. If I pass ABC, then the expected should be ABC. And let's suppose if I pass CDE, what will be the expected in this case? Can anybody tell me if I pass CDE, what output I should get?
CDE.
Yeah, so there is no A, so it will give me CDE. So this is the code which we need to test. So we will discuss that in this session. And along with this, we have another function which say that our first and last two character are same. So there is another function which check first and last two character are same or not. So if first and last character are same, it will return true. Otherwise, this will return false. So this is a code which will check my first and last character are same or not. So there are two functions which I need to check. So my first and last character are same or not. So in this case, this should return true because my first and last character are same. But if I give this input, then this should return false because my first and last character are not same. So I have to test these two functions. And this is the source code which is written here in this main file. Any doubt up to this point? So I hope you got clear idea how to create the project. And how to write the code. This is the code which I will directly provide you. You just need to copy it so that you can test it. So we have to test this code. Now, can you tell me where I should write my test code? In which folder I should write? Yeah. From Maven, can you tell me which folder I should use now for test this case? Yeah. Anyone? So there is one source main Java, source main resources, source test Java, source test resources. Where I should put my testing code?
Test Java.
Yeah. So I have to use test Java. So just move to test Java. And under this, I will create a new package. So first I will create package. I will let call string code test. So you need to create a package, and under this package, you need to create a class which will test it. So I can name it string helper test. So this is the code which I have created to test it. So this is there is one main file, and there is another file which is present in my test Java, which will use to test it. So I have already written my code here. So you see here I have source test Java. This is my package name, and in this I have created this file name called as string helper test. So let's understand this code, and now this the things become very interested. So I have mentioned you some tag. So here we are writing a code for string helper test class, and as I mentioned, I have to use tag at the rate test that will call JUnit. So it will start with a test function, and here you see that I have to test this class, that is string helper. So in first step, I am creating one object of this. This is my class name, and I'm creating one object with name helper. So this is my object, and through this object, I can call my class. So if you go into this class has two functions. One is truncate a in first two position. So I need to call this function. So in Java, whenever you need to call a function, you have to use object name dot function name or method name. So here you see I'm using same. So this is my object name, and I'm calling this function helper dot truncate a in first two position. So this is the function which I have written here in the main source file, and I'm passing AABC. Can you tell me what output I should expect if I pass AABC? Anyone? What output I can expect from this?
BC.
BC. So you see, I have used BC. So it means I need to compare BC with the output of this function. Is it making sense? So you will be calling this method, and output of this method will be compared with BC. BC is expected and this is actual. Do you remember the function which I told you in the presentation, which we use to check the equality between expected and actual? I used the function in the code. Let me show you again. So we discussed these things here. You see, here I mentioned that first of all, I mentioned that we have to use assert equal, which is used to check expected value with the actual value. And all the code should be written under at the rate test. So at the rate test specify that you are testing the method, and then we discussed that there is something called as assert equal, which is used to check expected with the actual. So I'm using the same thing here, so that you can refer that. So here you see I'm using assert equals. So this assert is available in this package. So this package I have imported so that I can call this function. So assert equal, and this will compare expected output with the uh, actual output. So actual output will be obtained from this. So here I test it multiple times. So then I test it for ABC. So if the input is ABC, what should be expected? Can anybody tell me? So if it is ABC, then it should be BC. And if it is, let's suppose, GBC, then output should be GBC. So I hope you got my point. So here I'm testing it for three times. I will call it three times and I will check it for every possible case. So now the everything is ready. I can run my test case. So in order to test my run case, you need to click on this class, then run as JUnit test. So again, I repeat, you have to check testing class. So this is the testing code which I have written, string helper test Java. Right click on this, select run as, and then select JUnit test. So let's run it. So save it. It will run JUnit test, and you see it says one run is there. There is no error, there is no failure, and this is the detail. So this is the full detail. It has checked all the four cases. There is no error and there is no failure in this. So we can cross check it by making some intentional mistakes. So let's suppose if I write here ABC, so then what will happen? This test will fail because input is double A, B, C, and I'm saying that expected is ABC. So this test should fail this time. So let's run this again with the modified code, run as JUnit. Okay. So now I'm running it, and you can see that there is one failure this time. So where my code fail, this will tell you and highlight automatically where the problem is. So it highlighted that statement that it fail at this point. So this is automating testing. So you can test it on multiple inputs, just copy paste it, and then you can give all expected output. You can check all possible cases, and whenever a test case fail, it will stop at that point and it will highlight that this particular case is not working. You can go back, check it. So I make it, let's suppose ABC again. So then you can go back, select it, run as JUnit test, save it, and it will now run, and now there is no failure, no problem in the code. So if you have any question at this point, please ask me. Good. So this is just one small case, but we can extend it by writing full test cases. So this is my complete test cases for this. So here, this is now string helper test complete. I have created another class for this, which will explain you how to completely test it. So in this, what I am doing, I'm testing it for each and every case. So here I'm creating different test cases. Earlier, I put all three test cases under simple test. But this time I'm making some better code, better readable code, and I'm creating separate test cases for each case. So you see at the rate test, and here I mentioned that I'm checking A in first two positions. So there are multiple possibilities to test the code. So in order to ensure I have tested each and every case, I'm creating separate test cases. So here I'm checking it for A in first two positions. So here double A is in first two positions. So I should get CD. So this is the case I have checked. If I pass AACD, the output should be CD. And I named it that A in first two positions. So from the function name, you can easily see that where is the problem. So you from this, you can see that here I'm checking A in first two position. Then I can check A in the first position. So you see here A is in the first position. So here I'm checking A in first position, mean I'm passing ACD, and then output should be CD. Similarly, I can write more cases where I can check CDEF. So if I pass CDEF no A, then it should return CDEF. You can also check if A is in the last position, then the output should be CDAA again. So this code is only testing two cases. This is your homework for today's session. So you need to extend this test cases by implementing these two cases on your own. But in this case, I have only implemented two situations. One is I'm testing A in first two position, and then I have A in first position. So this is testing truncate A in first two position. You know, I have also another function in this, which is to check are first and last two character are same or not. So I have to check are my first and last character are same or not. So I have to check this function too. So you see here, I'm testing that function uh, through this. So here, if I pass A, B, C, D, with in which first and last are not same, then it should return C. And here, uh, so first and last two character are same or not. So it is actually checking two characters, not one character. So here first two character are AB and last two character are CD. So it means it should return false. So here I'm using assert false. So you know that there is a one function called as assert false, which will checking the output of false. So if I pass ABCD, the output should be false. And in order to check that, I'm using assert false. If my input is AB, in which first and last two are same, so it should be true in that case. So here I'm calling this function, and AB is passed, and then and this case I'm using assert true. So there are again, if you pass A only, it should be false. So you need to extend it on your own. But you can see that in this code, I am testing all uh, two functions, two methods which I have written. And so that you can work on that. So let's run this, run as JUnit. So this is the output. Every test case has been passed successfully. There is no error, no failure. So it's working fine. Now let's make some changes here. So I made a change in my code so that it should fail at that point. So let's do that. I'm going to run this again, run as JUnit test. So here now you see there is a one failure. And this is the reason for giving different test cases different name. So you can see that from these test cases, it automatically highlighted you that this case is pass A in first two position, -0, A in first position, but this case is failed. So when you click on that, it directly take you to the point where the problem is. So you can debug it, you can look into that, and once you make that correction, you can go back and run your code, and it will cross check that this is now working fine. So there are four runs. In this case, I have used @test four times. This is recommended. So always use uh, @test for every test case. So there are four test cases which I have used, and all the four test cases has been successfully passed. So I will share that base code with you, and your task will be to write total 8 test cases, because here two are implemented, but two are still pending. So you have to write this on your own. And here you also need to write these two on your own. So total should be 8 test cases, but I have write only four. So I hope you can extend this code and you can complete that on your own. If you have any question up to this point, you can ask me any question. Very good. So I have something more to share with you quickly before winding up this session. So there are some other tags which are also very useful. So there is a one tag called as before class. So this before class will run, this test case will run before execution of the main class. So main class is string helper. So before its execution, this particular part of the code will run, and this will show before class. This before code will run before every test case. So whenever you run test case, this before code will execute. This is your test case one. This is your test case two. So whenever you execute a test case, this before code will run uh, before every test case. So if there are two test case one, this will run before it. Similarly, for executing test two, it will execute before part first. Similarly, we have at the rate after. So this part will execute after your particular test is complete. And after class will execute only once for the whole class. So my point is that before class and after class will execute only once. Uh, Before, once you call your main class, and after, when you finish everything. So it only execute once. But before and after will execute multiple time for every test case. So I have a question for you at this point. So let's look at this code again. So can you tell me, if I execute this code, what will be the output? So which print statement will execute first? So please take your time and I will wait your response on the chat box. So here is before class. This will execute once before the execution of the main code or main class. Then this before will execute before every test case. This is test case 1. This is test case 2. For every test case, this before will execute. After will execute after every test. And after class will execute only once you complete everything. So if I execute this whole thing, what will be the sequence of these print statements? So there are one, two, three, four, five, six print statement. Take your time. I'm waiting from the chat box to see your response, that what will be the output if I execute this code. Which statement will execute first? So can anybody tell me which statement will execute first? Yeah. Okay, let's check chat box. Before class and then after tests. Okay, can anybody give me full sequence? If you can unmute, we can discuss it jointly. So, what do you think? What is the first statement? Please unmute. So, what is the first statement will print?
Before class,
Before class. Yes. So, first will be before class. Then, second,
before before test.
yeah, very good. Before test. Then,
Test one executed.
test one executed. After this,
After test.
very good. God bless you.
Uh, Before test again.
Then before test again. Okay, very good. Then,
Test two executed.
test two executed. Then,
After test.
after test, and then after
After
class.
class.
So let's check this. Let's run it to confirm. So JUnit test I have executed. There is no error. Go back. I have to check the console because the output is displayed on the console. So you see. So we have before class, which will execute only once in the beginning. Then for every test, before test is executed, then test one is executed, then after test. Same is true for test two. So for test two, before test, after test, and then finally after class is executed. So I hope you got my point. And sometime it is used to initialize something to make your code more meaningful. And we can use at the rate before and at the rate after if you want something to run before your code. So any doubt, if you have some confusion in the sequence, yeah, please, you can ask any question. So I hope now you got all the idea about all the attributes. So this is very interesting that we have all these attributes and we can use it. So now finally, before winding up this session, I just want to give you an example where it is practically used. So you see in this code, which I have shared with you, I have used at the rate before. So what is the purpose of at the rate before? At the rate before will execute before every test case. So before every test case, it will create object for your main class because you require helper. Otherwise, I need to put that particular statement again in every test case. You remember? Here, I put this in my test case. So I put this statement in my test case. So if there are four test cases, I have to put this statement four times. So instead of putting that statement four times, it is better to use at the rate before, so that before every test case, this helper will be created and you can use it directly. So for this, again, helper will be ready. So I hope you got my point. So this will help us to create a object of the helper class. And here we are using at the rate before. So sometime at the rate after is also used to release the memory or to free the changes whatever we have made. So these are very important points which we can use. And yeah, it is very true. We can use it for initializing classes and other things. Yeah, clear. So we have discussed this before and after. And even in the end, I just want to give you an idea that we can also specify some performance measure, that we can specify even the time that this code should execute within 100 1000 millisecond. If this code is taking more time, it will automatically raise an error. So you can also check the performance from this particular code. So in order to check the performance, you just need to use at the rate timeout. So this is all from my side for this session. If you have any questions, you can ask. But before winding up this session, we have a quick informal quiz for all of you. So yeah, if you have any question, please share that. Mhm. Are you ready for quiz? If everything is clear, okay, let me start your quiz. Uh, 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 uh. So I request everyone to please join this quiz on Mentimeter. You can scan the QR code or you can use this menti.com and then you can give the code. Please join this quickly so that we can do this quiz. There are 4 questions in this quiz. I request everyone to please join. Yeah, everyone, please join. Okay, let's start. Very good. Jeetpal is at number 1. It is not equal, it's equals. Second last. Final question. This is not a ID. ID is Eclipse, so it is just to build it. So let's see who is the winner for this session one. Wow, Jasween. Jasween, please unmute and it will be nice if you can introduce to all of us.
Uh, Good afternoon, sir. I'm Jasveen. I have recently completed my graduation from Thapar itself in computer science branch, and I'm currently working with Amazon,
Oh, nice. So where you are placed right now?
Hyderabad.
Okay. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Sir.
Patel is the second. So please, if you can introduce.
Very good afternoon, sir. I'm Devanjali Patel, a third year student at Thapar University,
Okay, good, good.
CSE department branch.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Ajit Pal. Ajit.
Good afternoon, sir.
So Ajit was first in first two questions, then made mistake in one of the question, and now he's the. Anyway, Ajit, good. So what is your name? Please introduce. I know your name, of course.
Myself, Jitpa Singh Sidhu, and I have recently completed my graduation from Thapar, and I'm
So what are,
from Dhendra,
and what are you doing? What are you doing these days?
looking for job.
Okay, okay. I wish you all the best, Ajit. Thanks for joining.
Thank
Kashish.
you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Kashish.
Good afternoon, sir. So,
Yeah.
my name is Kashish. I am doing my MCA final year from Department of Computer Science Application, Punjab University.
Okay. You're from Punjab University. Thank you. Thanks for joining. For me.
Good morning, sir. I'm Kamruddin Maan from Chitkara University, Punjab. I'm pursuing PhD there, and
Okay.
this is what from my
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for joining again. Yeah. Anyone whose name is displayed on the screen, please unmute and introduce Nishika, Kathy, Parthanamika, Andika. Please unmute. Drag Onite. Yeah, please. This is your time. Hurry up. Please
Good
introduce.
afternoon, sir. Nisita this side, second year student at Chitkara University, first in computer science.
Good, good. Thanks. Thanks for connecting. Yeah. Yes, please. Next. Next. Okay, so I request all of you to please keep on joining these workshop. I hope it will be useful for you. And now, in the end, I want to share the GitHub code from here. You can get this code to start up with. So this is the resource. Of course, I will share that on WhatsApp group. So this is a GitHub resource from here. I have taken this base code. So I have modified it a little bit, but yeah, you can get that from this particular GitHub resource. I will share the link with you. I can show that to you directly right now. So I think it is already opened. Yeah. So it will look like this. And in source, you will have this main file. So this is the same file which we used. This is the helper file which I discussed. So I only use this string helper.java, the same code which we discussed. So you can only copy that code maybe. This is the requirement for this helper, which is available in this uh, helper folder. And then in testing folder, we have various uh, again folders. So helper. So this is string helper dot test. This is the code which I have shared with you. Two test cases are already there, two are pending, so you need to complete that. This is before and after. So you can, this is what I had discussed. So there are a few other options, array test, which is also there, which indicate you how to check the performance. So yeah, I recommend you to use this helper folder to test and this helper folder in source code to get the exact code. So you can set up everything on Eclipse as I have set up here. So I only used this helper.java and I only use this 4 files to explain that point. So this is the minimum, but of course you can explore more on that. So with this is all about all from my side. And in next week, we will be discussing Jacko code, which will check the code coverage of our code. This is again another white box technique. And I will be using Jacko, which is extension of JUnit. And we will check that how much code is covered in my test case, whether my test case is covering full code or 50% or 20% of code. So we have a automated tool which can check that. So we will be discussing that Jacko code in our next session. Then in session number 3, we will be discussing Selenium tool, and in session number 4, we will be discussing Kokomo. So we have a lot of things to cover. I hope I will be able to complete everything within these 4 sessions. So thanks for joining this session, and please keep on joining it. Recording is also available. You can share that recording with your friend, and please ask more students to connect. This is the only motivation that we have audience who are interested. So yeah, please share this with your friend, and in next session you can ask your friend to join. And one more thing I want to share with you, I will be in Thapar on Monday and Tuesday. Currently I am in India on vacation, so if you wish to meet you, we can ping out. Let me share my number with you. So this is my number. So this is my US number for WhatsApp, and this is my Indian number. Of course, I am also using that. So if you are in Thapar, it will be nice to meet you. You can ping me and we can plan maybe in course or somewhere to meet and have a coffee. Thank you. God bless you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. God
Thank
bless.
you.